Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Kermitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, it is our penultimate Fraggle Rock episode because we are continuing our journey through the last season with 3 more episodes from March of 1987. And those are Inspector Red, the Gorg Who Would Be King, and the Honk of Honks. It's starting to feel like it's winding down here, Sam.
Yeah, we're cramming in some actual storylines, some threads that go from episode to episode in a way that we've never really done before.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest takeaways, and we'll get more into this later, is that, maybe they should have done some of this a little earlier.
Yeah, it's like they woke up and they were like, oh, my homework's due this afternoon.
And I totally respect, leaving a lot of these things for the end to go out with a bang. And I still think Fraggle Rock is one of the best things we have watched for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing what they can do now with expanding the world a little bit makes me wish they had done that more often.
Yeah, we could have had a season of King Junior Gorg, or like
or just Doc finding more props from Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, the Doc's discovery. I forgot these were the last episodes. So Doc finding Gobo was like so sudden, and then I was like, oh, there's only 1 episode left. What the hell?
Yeah, for those who haven't been keeping up with which episodes we're watching and when, you might notice that, we only have 1 episode left after this week. So next time, we will be back to discuss Change of Address, which is the very last episode of the original series of Fraggle Rock, along with the rap video, Fraggles Look for Jobs, and the behind-the-scenes documentary, Down at Fraggle Rock. So next time will be our Goodbye to Fraggle Rock episode.
Well, we'll see them again in 15 years.
Well, and we'll also have just a little bit of a pause, and then we'll see them again in cartoon form.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So we will only say goodbye to the characters for a short period of time, but we'll say goodbye to the puppets for quite a while.
Yeah.
But before we get too deep into talking about Fraggle Rock today, I wanted to bring up a review that recently got left on Apple Podcasts from Fair Tika, or Tika, in Ireland, who said, I accidentally stumbled on this a few months ago. I'm really enjoying all the Muppetness. And I am just so curious how someone accidentally stumbles upon this podcast. You Google Muppet and then you scroll to like page 147 and you're like, oh, a Muppet podcast? Who'd have thought?
Let's see how long it even takes when you put Muppet Oh, we're the first thing when you search Muppet podcast. At least for me.
I was going to say, that's just yours. What if I use an incognito?
Oh, go
window?
incognito. Yeah.
Muppet podcast. Kermitment, baby.
Hell yeah.
It helps that we have a Muppets podcast in our name.
That wouldn't count as an accident, I wouldn't think, though, if you typed in Muppet podcast and then saw our podcast. That doesn't mean accident to me. So I think it's more, you got to tell us the whole story here. What's going on?
So thank you for that review there, Fair Tika from Ireland. Reach out, email us at mail@kermitment.com. Let us know how you found Kermitment.
Or heck, join the Discord via Patreon.
Hey, give us money. Well, Sam, let's get into it. What did we watch this week?
First, we watched Inspector Red, original air date March 9th, 1987. Red is taking a stroll when she notices that the Fraggle horn, a giant horn in the Great Hall used to summon all Fraggles together for meetings, has gone missing. This is unfortunate because the world's oldest Fraggle was about to call the Fraggles to a big party in honor of Uncle Traveling Matt and his exploits. Red decides to track down the horn, puts on a fedora and a trench coat, and becomes Inspector Red, a detective alter ego that she's maybe just had all along and we've never seen. I'm not really sure. She has a whole theme song for herself. She sets out to question suspects, starting with Uncle Matt. She finds him desperately trying to replace his hat, which he lost in outer space, with a clump of moss, and he's in no mood for a party. His moss hat falls off at one point, revealing that he's bald and is always wearing a toupee, which he also lost in outer space. So Red goes back to the world's oldest Fraggle and officially accuses Matt of stealing the horn to try to cover up his baldness from all the other Fraggles. As she does so, the world's oldest Fraggle reminds her that a false accusation has a worse penalty than theft does, but she's very confident. As she finishes her accusation, the world's oldest Fraggle points out that the horn is right behind her, seemingly badly hidden in Boober's house. Red then tries to find Boober, but runs into Moki first, who tells Red that Boober just happened to mention earlier that morning that he hates meetings and he hates the Fraggle horn, and he thinks that it should be smashed up into a million pieces. So Red goes back to the world's oldest Fraggle to accuse Boober, which means that she falsely accused Matt and is punished by having her radish snack taken away. Boober walks by around then and tells Red emphatically that he did not steal the horn, which has also disappeared from his house, and he mentions that Marlin Fraggle was looking at the horn kind of suspiciously earlier, and Red goes to question Marlin. Then Marlin swears that he did not take the horn and that he was just looking for his lucky pebble, which he'd thrown in the horn for safekeeping, but later on, Red catches him looking at the lucky pebble, which he thinks is suspicious, so she tracks down the world's oldest Fraggle and makes another accusation, and then she's punished again for her other false accusation of Boober, and then something happens and she gathers all of the people that she's accused together to reveal the true culprit. She accuses herself, which causes a guilt-stricken Hinchy, the assistant of the world's oldest Fraggle, to confess that he stole the horn because whenever the world's oldest Fraggle calls a meeting, he's always bonking Hinchy with his cane, and Hinchy doesn't like that. And that's the end of that. The moral, I guess it's don't be too quick to point fingers, but the repercussions of doing so aren't really all that bad in this episode, so it doesn't come across super strongly. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc has bought ice cream, but he's found that it has disappeared. He accuses Sprocket of eating the ice cream secretly before finding it melted inside of his own hat because he put the ice cream inside of his hat. I don't remember why he did that.
He was distracted by Ned calling him to talk about his asthma attack. And so he distractedly set the ice cream down inside of his hat and walked away.
Setting up a little clue for later on.
A surprising through line.
Yeah, poor Ned. Next, we watched The Gorg Who Would Be King, air date March 16th, 1987. Junior and Pa are checking out their Nirvana tree, a golden tree that's apparently always been there, just right off camera. And also whose falling leaves portend the crowning of a new Gorgic king. As they look at the tree, all of its leaves suddenly fall off, which means that it's time for Junior to take the crown. Unfortunately for Junior, he really does not want to be king because he does not understand the universe, and he doesn't think that he'd be a very good king at all. So he sees one more leaf on the tree and is relieved that it is not his time, but it also falls. Junior, I think, maybe catches the leaf, is that what happens, and decides that if he eats it, it will never have actually fallen. Is that why he does that?
They think the last leaf falls, but then Junior spots there is one last leaf still on the tree.
Okay.
And he says, well, they can't make me king if it doesn't fall. So he rips it off the tree and eats it.
He plucks it off himself and eats it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it didn't fall.
Right. Until he poops it out. Then maybe it does.
That's when it truly falls.
I guess all of it will never fall until he falls down dead. So anyway, he eats the leaf, but when he eats the leaf, he finds himself shrunk down to Fraggle size. Ma and Pa spot him and they think he's a Fraggle and they try to thump him, but Wembley helps him escape into the rock before he's killed. With Wembley's help, Junior goes to the trash heap, who tells him that the Nirvana tree's effect when you eat one of its leaves is to give you exactly what you need. Irritated by Marjorie's typical vagueness, Junior goes back to the rock, where he learns that Fraggles are cool little guys who even all have names, which he did not know apparently, and who tell him that it's bad to be the boss of anyone. And also he learns that getting chased by Gorgs is scary. He learns about doozers and doozer sticks and the food chain that he's part of by growing his radishes. He just learns all about how everyone's connected in Fraggle Rock. Unfortunately for everybody, though, Pa never bothered to learn anything about the universe that he is the king of, and this latest Fraggle sighting was the last straw for him, so Pa builds a big bomb and throws it down the well to kill all the Fraggles. Junior evacuates his new friends and disarms the bomb, and then goes up to confront Pa about being mean to Fraggles and all the smaller creatures and his responsibility as king. Junior returns to full size, having learned the lesson the tree wanted him to learn, and decides that he is ready to take the crown. So they have a ceremony for him, at the end of which he makes his first kingly declaration that there will be no more kings. And then he hucks the crown into the stratosphere, thus ending the Gorgic reign of terror. The moral: it's important to be empathetic and walk a mile in other people's shoes. And probably lots of other stuff too. Don't be bossy, stuff like that. Meanwhile, up in outer space, and everything's connected. There are a lot of lessons in this one. Meanwhile, up in outer space, Doc and Sprocket are camping and they're waiting to see a meteor shower. They see a meteor land nearby and they go and check it out, only to find the giant Gorg crown that Junior threw, which doesn't really seem to concern them as much as maybe it should. That would be scary.
Yeah, it's very clearly not a meteor.
Doc does treat it as if it is a meteor, though, and that it looks normal. I guess I would say space junk. Maybe. I don't know. But he's not scared like I think. Even if I saw space junk like that, I still would be like, ugh, what is that?
Aliens exist. Proof.
Yeah. Finally, we watched The Honk of Honks, the second to last episode of Fraggle Rock, which aired March 23rd, 1987. Gobo is up in outer space when he suddenly finds himself face to face with Doc. But Doc can't seem to see Gobo at all. So, confused, Gobo heads back to Fraggle Rock, where Cantus the Minstrel has come for a visit. Cantus declares that it's time to sing the Song of Songs, which can only be sung when the Honk of Honks is honked. And he declares that Gobo is responsible for honking the Honk of Honks. Gobo's a little bit irritated by this because he'd rather investigate what's going on with Doc, but he sets about his task anyway, gathering horns from the Doozers and Marjorie and the Gorgs, and then attaching them all to the Fraggle horn. He tries to play the honk, but it's never quite right, and eventually, Gobo runs out of time to figure out what's wrong with the honk, and Cantus says that it's too late to sing the Song of Songs and starts to leave. So Gobo is kind of moping around and he runs into Cantus as he's leaving and explains about Doc not being able to see him. And Cantus says that Doc won't be able to see Gobo until they've touched each other. So Gobo goes up to outer space to look into things more when he overhears Doc talking to Ned Schimmelfinny, who tells Doc that due to complications with his asthma, he has to move away. This makes Doc really sad, way sadder than I would even expect him to be, because all of a sudden Ned is his best friend in the world. I guess he's always kind of been, but Doc's just so sad. And he's talking
This is like a
about,
give Jerry Parks the Emmy scene, is
Yeah.
what this is.
his eyes are just like, oh, he looks so sad. So Gobo's listening to him kind of monologue about how sad he is, and it touches Gobo's heart. There's touch number 1. And then Gobo pats Doc's hand sympathetically. There's touch number 2. And suddenly, Gobo is seen. Doc is bewildered and excited, and they share a short conversation, which ends with Doc giving Gobo a party horn. Gobo runs off and adds the party horn to the Fraggle horn, and finally plays the Honk of Honks just in time for everybody to sing the Song of Songs. Up in outer space, Doc decides that friendship is the most important thing and tells Sprocket that they're going to move with Ned if Ned has to move. And that was it. In the real world, the biggest thing that happened in March 1987, I think, was that U2 released the Joshua Tree.
There's also some cool movies that came out in March of 1987.
Oh, yeah. Evil Dead 2.
We got Evil Dead 2.
Instance.
Exactly.
Yeah. Imagine how fun it would be in 1987 to go to the theater and see Evil Dead 2. I bet that was a great night for everybody.
I mean, getting to see Lethal Weapon, Raising Arizona, and Evil Dead 2 in the same month.
That would rule.
Well, the first episode we watched this week was Inspector Red from March 9th, 1987, written by Jerry and Susan Jewell, and directed by George Bloomfield.
I think they're back, baby. I think Jerry and Susan they nailed it on this one.
I was going to just ask. I'm very curious what you think of this episode, because it does a lot of things I think we complain about sometimes,
Yeah.
but in, I think, a successful way.
Yeah. I
Because
wrote
there's no Gorgs, no trash
uh-huh.
heap, or doozers, and it's an entire episode about doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, 3 times. I
Yeah.
wrote my first note, like my first note of my thoughts was the same thing happens 3 times in the most literal way that it has ever happened before, but in the only time that it has ever made sense. Because this is like, yeah, it's the structure
Right.
of a detective story is that you learn more clues and then you go have a new suspect. So in this case, it's the only applicable correct way to do the same thing 3 times.
Right, I guess giving it a contextual reason to happen and making Red the butt of the joke that she is doing the same thing 3
Yes.
times
Yeah.
does at least give it a purpose to happen, as opposed to just feeling like, well, we didn't think of an act 2, so what if they did
Yeah.
act 1 again?
Yeah. But yeah, this time it was fun. And there was like fun variations on the same 3 things happening.
The most wild thing about this episode that I learned from Muppet Wiki is that for the German airings of Fraggle Rock, the German co-productions, this was the last episode of the series for some reason.
Cool. What a way to end it.
Yeah. Who needs the emotional resonance of Doc and I'm wondering if certain co-productions didn't want to bother
Oh.
with Doc meeting Gobo
Right.
or filming a version of their Doc meeting their Gobo.
Yeah. So they like literally couldn't do the last couple episodes, I guess. It'd be
Yeah,
pretty
without
hard.
expanding on what they were going to be filming.
Some entire new scenes. Like Gobo would play the honk of honks the last time, right before he gets the party blower, and they'd be like, "You did it!" Cut to the song. Great job, Gobo. Did you like this episode?
Yes, I love this episode.
Okay, cool.
I will say, if I have to pick a worst of the 3, this is the worst of the 3.
Yeah,
but it's a very good
right.
3.
Right.
Like this is, they're going out on a high because they know that they're wrapping up here. And I think while Inspector Red doesn't necessarily feel like an episode that is leading to a series finale,
Right.
It's still a really strong episode and clearly something that sticks in people's minds because like the latest figures they put out of Fraggle Rock, Red comes with an alternative, like Inspector Red hat head that you can snap on.
Yeah, if it had been like the last hurrah of Detective Red, and this was a character that we'd seen, like something we'd seen her do a bunch of times, then that would have
Right.
been fun. Because yeah, the first thing I thought was like, this is like a weirdly natural thing for her to do. I wish they had thought of this idea, 3 years ago.
Yeah, there's this weird thing that I think with these episodes especially, and I'm sure the next one will fall in line with this. I understand the prolonged love of Fraggle Rock more than I ever have.
Yeah.
Because I think there are certain shows that even when they have episodes that are misses along the way, if they end on a high, people's memory of that show is from like the last episodes.
Right.
Like what the taste
Yeah.
it leaves in their mouth when
That's
they
a good
finish it.
point.
It's like there's a lot of movies like this where the middle act can slow down and bog you down. But if it's got a big cool action set piece at
Right.
the end, you're gonna walk out
Yeah.
of the theater happy.
It's like, speaking of Chicago, the Dark Knight, the middle of that movie is so fucking boring when he goes to China and like, oh my God.
Oh,
But,
right.
yeah. But and then
Yeah.
you're right in the opposite way where if the show ends badly, everybody's just mad about that, even if it's like,
Right.
well, we
If
had
the-
like
if-
4 really good seasons of like Game of Thrones that nobody even cares about anymore.
Right. Yeah, no. Lost, Game of Thrones,
Mhm.
even I know there's people who even argue still about Breaking Bad, which is I think one of the best finales ever, but
Mhm.
it is that thing where a finale can ruin a show for people. And I
Yeah.
think Fraggle Rock seems to at least be teeing up a very happy ending for everyone.
Yep.
Maybe not Ned Schimmelpenny, but everyone
No,
else.
Ned's gonna die, but everybody else is gonna be okay.
But yeah, at the beginning of this episode, Doc and Sprocket are coming back from the grocery store. Sprocket is upset because he's not allowed in grocery stores.
Yeah. He has to be tied up outside, which is sad when you see a dog like that.
Yeah, I always say hi if they seem nice.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, you could have left your dog at home. You probably would have been happier at home than tied up outside in the hot, smoky air.
Yeah.
Well, Doc gets distracted when Ned Schimmelpenny gives him a call. Apparently, Ned's been feeling sick. and Doc has been buying the groceries to bring over to Ned.
Yeah, Doc is suddenly the best friend in the world, and
It's very
like
sweet.
completely emotionally dependent on Ned Schimmelfinny, basically.
I'm also, genuinely concerned after this batch of episodes about how bad Ned Schimmelfinny's asthma must be.
Yeah.
Because to have to move away to take care of your asthma.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a very much like I feel like there's lots of old movies where somebody's like, "Gotta move to Arizona, too wet here."
Yeah.
Not something that
Go
happens
that
as
dry
much
air.
not something that happens as much as it used to. It seems like it used to happen all the time. Everybody moved to Arizona.
Or it's like
But-
Little Women, where it's like we have to go to the ocean to heal.
Yeah, but they live so close to the ocean, I assume. He's probably got
Right.
wet lungs.
The
He's
ocean's the
probably in
problem
bad-
here.
He's in bad shape, yeah.
During all that commotion, we get a sad Sprocket waiting for his peaches and praline ice cream, which Doc
Mhm.
does not give to him before he leaves to bring Ned his groceries.
No.
And then down in Fraggle Rock, Red brings us into the episode in a completely different way than we've ever experienced, which is her narrating and introducing us
Yeah.
to the mystery of the week.
You gotta do the detective voiceover when you're being a detective.
I feel like the closest thing we've had to this in the past was when like Moki was writing in her journal or something.
Oh yeah.
We
That's
had
true.
some voiceover explaining what had happened, but
Yeah.
this felt very different right away.
Uh-huh. There's also been a couple times where Gobo has like talked to us in a way that's almost voiceovery, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
This stands apart.
Yeah, this feels like a pilot for a different show. Like for an Inspector Red show that the other
Yeah.
Fraggles don't really need to be there for.
Yeah, like a Nick Jr. spinoff or something of a Dora the Explorer kind of thing.
Honestly, maybe the animated series should have been an Inspector Red animated series.
Yeah. It also reminded me a lot of like, I don't know how much Star Trek I can't remember how much Star Trek you've watched, but
Close to zero.
But like every season, there's an episode where Captain Picard puts on his detective outfit and goes into the holodeck to be a detective, and then something goes horribly wrong. This episode felt very Star Trek-y to me.
Red wants to blow the Fraggle horn, but alas, it is missing.
Oh yeah, right. Why she want to blow it? Just for fun?
That's a great question.
Doesn't matter.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
She wants to like have a party or something. She just wants to have a
Mhm.
Fraggle day where everyone comes together, and she thinks, "Aha! I'll blow the Fraggle horn."
Yeah.
But she spots Henchy and lets him know, hey, Fraggle horn's missing, which we think bums him out.
Yeah.
Because he was supposed to blow it for the world's oldest Fraggle, who wanted him to blow it and set up a party to celebrate Uncle Traveling Matt.
I definitely did have think it's always the first person you see,
Yeah, this felt a little Law and Order-y.
Mm-hmm.
With her going around and questioning everyone and people being like, I don't know what happened. I wasn't even here.
Yeah. You can't pin this one on me.
I think from the beginning I was like, I bet it was Henchy. But
Yeah.
then they do a good job of building up the case against some other people.
That's true. Yeah.
And the reveal, that spoiler alert, it was Henchy, I think is also explained really well and not too convoluted.
It's fun that the reason he did it is something that we've seen happen before.
Right. It wasn't a new made up thing. Well, this is when Red sings her own Inspector Red theme song called There's a Lot I Want to Know.
It's a good song. I like this song.
There's a lot of great songs in these
Mhm.
episodes this week.
Mhm.
But Inspector Red is on the case now, and she suspects that someone isn't wanting to have this celebration of Uncle Traveling Matt. So, of course, the first person she's going to investigate is Uncle Traveling Matt.
He's like maybe the second most suspicious Fraggle of all. Marlin is the most suspicious.
Marlin, yes.
But
The fact that we get Marlin and Uncle Traveling Matt accused in this case totally makes sense to me.
if anyone's going to commit a crime, I think Matt is pretty high up there. And then one of the only Fraggles who actually knows what crime even is, probably.
Well, I feel like no matter what the crime is, this could be your same usual suspects, and Henchy probably is the one who actually did it. Like, if there was a murder in if there was a murder in Fraggle Rock, at the end of the day, Henchy's probably the most likely suspect. But you would also question Marlin.
But then also when Henchy explained why he did it, you'd be like, that actually tracks.
Yeah,
you're good.
Well, and Marlin even doesn't seem quite sure that he didn't do it. There's times where things are revealed and Marlin's like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, Matt does seem hesitant to celebrate himself and refuse to go to his own party. And it's not because, he doesn't want to celebrate himself. He's Uncle Traveling Matt, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's because we learn via flashback postcard.
Yeah, we haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Feels like they were like, yeah, we got some of these left that we haven't used yet.
We didn't use the
Anyone
race
want to
car
use one of these?
We went all the way out to the race car. It's not going to be for nothing. And his hat fell off. Let's write a whole episode about it.
Yeah, so he is attached to a drag race, or a car in a drag race. And as the car takes off with Uncle Traveling Matt attached to the car, we see his hat fly off. This is maybe, it's pretty brief. It's not officially a postcard, but it's maybe one of my favorite postcards we've had.
This is the only time I've ever liked Uncle Matt in an episode, I feel like. I think the ones that embrace his evilness are usually, well, like they all kind of do, but the ones where he is truly just like a dirtbag uncle are when I like him the most. And then this one, I like kind of feel a little bad for him, and I can understand what he's trying to do, and he's humbled a little bit, and he and Red have like their thing, and there's just so much history in their scenes together that it's like this all perfectly tracks.
I also really like whenever they, just say fuck it and tie a puppet to a race car.
That's also good, yeah. Or put him in a plane that goes upside down, or
when they throw him in the water, whenever they're just like chucking Uncle Traveling Matt somewhere. So to see that car take off at full speed with an Uncle Traveling Matt puppet actually attached to the side of it,
back door,
was a great visual.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he lost his toupee, a thing that everyone finds hilarious at first. Because we get a ton of very non-Fraggle Rock looking characters popping out of the caves to laugh at Uncle Traveling Matt for losing his toupee.
Yeah, weird cave critters. Because I guess it couldn't be Fraggles because he doesn't want any of the Fraggles to know he lost his toupee.
But it looks like just some leftover creature shop puppets, because there's things that look like a lot of animals left over from Emmett Otter or the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of animals that I don't think we would normally see.
Yeah, kind of normal looking guys.
Right, exactly. Too normal. Well, this is enough information to let Red make an official accusation to the world's oldest Fraggle, saying Matt stole the horn. And this is, when we learn that the world's oldest Fraggle says that the punishment for making a false accusation is far worse than the punishment for theft, which we don't actually see play out in reality.
No, we don't see the punishment for theft.
No, true. But the only punishment I think that happens for the false accusation is he takes
her snack away, and then he makes her walk backwards carrying a big boulder. That's the second one.
Yeah, which that's not that fun. But the taking the snack was pretty tame. And also feels like he made it up on the spot. Yeah. So
it is. I love the through line that he is so excited to punish her, and also knows that she's wrong like 2 of the 3 times, and is like, I'm going to let you do this anyway. Because immediately after she's done accusing, he's just like, right behind you is the Fraggle horn, you fool.
Yeah, they turn around and the Fraggle horn is in Boober's room.
This is also maybe the most I've ever liked the world's oldest Fraggle too.
Yeah, he's not nearly as obnoxious as he usually is, because he's actually,
even though he's being extremely obnoxious, but it at least it adds to the plot for him to be obnoxious.
Right. This feels like maybe the episode where they figure out a lot of those problems of we're doing things too many times.
Yeah, too bad it happened. There's only 3 episodes left.
Hey, better late than never.
We finally cracked it. Maybe this is the one where they decided this is the last season. We've perfected it. This was the one they were writing. They're like, couldn't get any better than this.
Well, back up in the workshop, Doc comes back from giving Ned his groceries and is ready to give Sprocket his ice cream, but seems to have misplaced it and decides to blame Sprocket.
Immediately jumps to blaming Sprocket.
Yeah, this section left me a little confused because I was not entirely clear on what happened, and I assumed that Doc must have misplaced the ice cream.
He left it
when
he
starts
Ned's
accusing.
Yeah,
right. He took it to Ned by accident. He left it outside. Something. But for him to immediately jump to the conclusion and accuse Sprocket left me just more confused than anything.
Well, it's kind of like a rare situation where the Doc and Sprocket storyline ties in better with the moral because there's actual like feelings involved. So he's hurting Sprocket's feelings by accusing him. So there's way more to learn than there is from the Fraggles, which something I like about Fraggle Rock is that often their problems, especially like their interpersonal problems, are very low stakes. And like even the crime of the century is just like, we don't really fucking care, but we're going to goof around a bit while we're solving this.
Yeah. And there's never ever a moment where the world's oldest Fraggle is ready to, throw
putting
the
him to
book at
death.
Uncle Traveling Matt or Marlin
Yeah.
or anything. Like, he is never really convinced that she has the right man.
Yeah, right. But Doc and Sprockets is sad. I felt really bad for Sprocket, actually.
Yeah. Also, Sprocket probably shouldn't be eating all that ice cream.
I don't think and there's a part where he's like, that was yesterday's ice cream. How much ice cream are these fools eating?
Also, apparently yesterday's was chocolate.
Yeah, that's
So
not
you
good
really
for
shouldn't be giving your
Sprocket.
dog chocolate ice cream.
No, maybe a little bit's okay, Matt. Every now and
Do you have a dog?
then. No,
There we go.
Because I
As a
fed
dog
it too
owner,
much chocolate ice cream.
I will say that, it's frowned upon to give your dog any chocolate, but you do have to give them a lot more than you think to
What
make
do
them
you-
sick.
Oh, to make them sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the more dark and like pure the chocolate is, the worse. Because like they can accidentally like have a little bit of a Hershey bar and be okay. Because that's mostly just like the beeswax or something.
Right. But if they ate like a whole, dark chocolate, pure chocolate, Valentine's
not
box
good.
of chocolates or something
That's
like that,
no good.
rough shape. Well, down in Fraggle Rock, Red runs into Moki, and she tells Red about a strange conversation she had with Boober this morning.
Narc. She's
And we
being
get-
a narc.
Well, I don't think she knows she's narking.
Nah, that's true.
She's like, yeah, speaking of the Fraggle horn, I had a weird run-in with Boober today. And we get another flashback in the episode, which sort of just puts this pink haze around the screen. But Moki was trying to draw the Fraggle horn when Boober comes in and is like, I hate that freaking thing. It
When
makes
he
people
killed the
party
Fraggle
and do
horn.
meetings, and I hate people coming together and doing loud things.
Yeah.
I wish they would haul it away and break it into tiny pieces.
Yeah. I love the earlier line where someone's like, Fraggles love meetings. These sick freaks. That's the least I've ever felt kinship with Fraggles.
Well, it also, I get that their version of meetings is different,
Yeah.
but also Fraggles seem like the people who would least like a meeting.
Yeah. Who would hate to be
They don't
compelled
work.
to go somewhere. Yeah.
So Red decides this is an open and shut case. Clearly, Boober is the one at fault here. Goes to the world's oldest Fraggle, officially accuses Boober, which, of course, also gets her in trouble for falsely accusing Uncle Traveling Matt.
Yeah.
And that's when the world's oldest Fraggle steals her radish bar. So Red goes to confront Boober. Boober says he didn't touch the Fraggle horn. And we get, I think, what's the first time we've had this window into Boober's room.
Yeah. That does seem right to me, too.
Like, this
It's
is the
like
first
you
time
were
I feel
looking
like
at
they've
it from a different
contextualized.
direction. We are always looking at it from the door on the other side. And this is
Yeah, or we're inside the room already when we start
Right.
the scene. And so to have this big window that people can look into Boober's room from,
Yeah.
I liked having that extra context, which I
Mhm.
know is just there to reveal the horn, but it works well. Well, and speaking of that giant window, they see that the Fraggle horn has now been removed from Boober's room, and Boober has no idea what Red's talking about, so
Mhm.
can't pin it on him. Gobo and Wembley show up for the first time in this episode, and Gobo says that he saw Marlin messing with the horn this morning. But Marlin's got an alibi, sort of. He says he lost his lucky pebble inside the horn, and he had to retrieve it, which is why he was touching the horn.
Does he live in that scary room full of spider webs? Like, is that his
It looked
house?
like it. I think so. They didn't really say for sure,
Yeah.
but because there is this spooky, weird room in Fraggle Rock, and
Mhm.
Marlin's there, I assume that is his weird cave.
they make him live in that one.
I feel like that's his choice.
Yeah, I guess so. He's kind of leaning into his little Igor thing, I guess.
I think he's the he's the kind of guy who no one actually hates Marlin,
Yeah.
but he thinks everyone hates him, and so he
Yeah.
makes himself this little creep in the corner of his spider web room.
He kind of
It's like,
likes that
"Eh."
everybody hates him. It at least gives him something to do.
Yeah, I think it makes him more interesting, and he knows
Yeah.
that.
He's so like craven in this one too, and like begging and pathetic. I love it.
Well, Red goes to question Marlin, and of course he denies everything. But he has his lucky pebble now. So Red goes, aha, open and shut case. You took
Mhm.
the Fraggle horn, so you get your lucky pebble. Goes to the world's oldest Fraggle again to officially accuse Marlin. Meanwhile, Doc finds an empty ice cream container in the garbage can upstairs, and we get some super sad, dramatic
Yeah.
music.
Things
as he
get really
looks-
serious.
Yeah, he's staring down Sprocket.
What's he gonna do if Sprocket did eat the ice cream? Like, what's the penalty for that?
Not buy him ice cream tomorrow.
That's sad. Yeah.
Skip one day of their ice cream routine.
I was just picturing him being like, "We're gonna have to start putting you in a cage or something." Like,
Oh,
what would he do?
lock you
dog
in the
has
hole behind the wall.
Your dog has hands and is super intelligent. I'm not sure how you punish that kind of dog.
Well, the world's oldest Fraggle gets Henchy to round up all the suspects who Red has accused so far, which is Boober, Marlin, and Uncle Traveling Matt. And Red says with absolute certainty that she is the one who took the Fraggle horn.
This was one part where I would have liked a little bit of like introspection on her part, like another scene where she was like, what's going on here? Because she does think that Marlin did it. So like there's a jump between her accusing Marlin and then her being like, this doesn't really add up, that we don't see. Is that right?
I think there's like one line where she's like, I have an idea to get them to
Yeah.
confess.
Yeah.
And that's
maybe
all.
you're
That's
right.
the entire
right.
beat. Like we don't see a lot of her thinking about it. I think she's just starting to get confused and she's not really sure who has done it. And so her idea comes to her just in a moment of like, wait a minute. I think I can solve this. Because, we learned that Fraggles would never let another Fraggle take the heat for them.
Marlin
so when
Marlin absolutely would.
Marlin's like, yeah, none of us would ever
right.
do that. But this causes Henchy to confess that he actually took the Fraggle horn. Because, he didn't want to have another meeting so that world's oldest Fraggle wouldn't bop him on the nose again.
Yeah, that is probably one of my least favorite like running gags in Fraggle Rock when he bonks Henchy, just because it does look like it hurts and it makes me sad.
Right. Yeah, he is a very bad, abusive boss. We've seen that many, many times, which maybe, hopefully, this is the end of it. But he does bonk him one more time after he has told him the reason he did it. But we get the nice reveal scenes of Henchy telling everyone how he took the horn and how he was hiding in the horn in Boober's room when they spotted it, which is a nice little reveal that he was underneath the horn at the time when they saw it. And then, it was basically he just kept almost getting caught. And so he kept tossing it and hiding it in different places. And so that's when the lucky pebble fell out and Marlin found his lucky pebble. It's just nicely resolved. And we find out that about he doesn't want to be bopped on the nose anymore.
But he doesn't get punished.
Well, no, because I think the world's oldest Fraggle realizes that, like,
maybe it's his bad.
I don't really, I'm not really the winner here if I punish him for this.
Yeah.
And then up in Doc and Sprocket land, we find out that the empty carton turned out to be a chocolate ice cream carton, which was from yesterday's ice cream. So Doc picks up his hat, goes to leave, I think maybe to buy more ice cream. I don't remember exactly why he's leaving. But that's when the peaches and praline ice cream pours across his face because he had put the carton inside of his hat.
Great.
And we get, aside from the later on performance from Doc, I think one of the best line deliveries from Jerry Parks we've ever had. Whereas he's mad and he's picking up his hat. He's like, I don't know where the ice cream went. And he puts his hat on and he goes, I know where the ice cream went.
He's really, Doc and Sprocket this season have been on the top of their game, I think. It's been a great Doc and Sprocket season.
Well, and then he pours out the rest of the melted ice cream into Sprocket's bowl, and Sprocket seems less thrilled by that part of it.
A disgusting display, I would say. Out of an old man's hat into a dog bowl that I can only assume is full of, dog spit, old goopy food. It grossed me out.
I was impressed by Jerry Parks, presumably trying to do this in one take.
Yeah, because
there's only so many times
you gotta go wash your hair and get a new costume.
Well, that does it for that episode, Sam. How many stars?
I gave it 3 stars, and I think it is mostly just
fair.
like it's a 3-star episode, especially in comparison to the next 2. But I'd like to give it more just because of what we said, where it's like they finally learned how to do it at this kind of episode of Fraggle Rock. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the lightest episodes of Fraggle Rock ever, I feel like, where it's purely messing around and no feelings are at stake in the Fraggle part of the story.
Yeah, but I do feel like any other week it might be a 4-star.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Well, moving on to our second episode of the week, The Gorg Who Would Be King, from March 16th, 1987. Written by Laura Phillips and directed by Terry Maskell. My first note is this where Nirvana got the idea?
Were they already a band?
They formed in early 1987, but did not officially call themselves Nirvana until early 1988.
Wow. So they watched this episode of Fraggle Rock.
They claim, I think, that they were, because of Buddhism,
Yeah.
called themselves Nirvana.
Yeah, right.
But maybe the real story is that they were, stoned high schoolers or something being like, oh, dude, Nirvana Tree. What if we called our band Nirvana Tree?
Or, let's look up this word we heard in Fraggle Rock. Let's go to the library. Let's learn more about it.
And if they listened to Pa Gorg, their band might have been called Nirvana.
Let's get Dave Grohl on the show. He could tell us.
That's the man who has pulled off the Muppet trifecta of being on
right.
Fraggle Rock, The Muppets, and Sesame Street.
Yeah, what better way to follow that up than by being on Kermitment, the #1 Muppet podcast?
The problem is I don't know if Dave Grohl was in the band yet when they got their name.
I was thinking the same thing. I do think he joined a little later, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't. He was not there at the beginning, but I don't know at what point he joined in the naming process. All I'm saying is they weren't called Nirvana yet when this episode aired.
Interesting. Yeah, he joined in 1990, so he actually wouldn't know the story.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you ask if you join a band, hey, where did we get our name? Well, getting into this episode, Doc and Sprocket are out in the woods on a camping trip. I thought for sure this was going to be more important to the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But Doc's just talking about observing plant and animal life by day, and at night, the stars and the planets.
Yeah, it does seem like the meteor shower in particular maybe would play some kind of role. And which it does,
and
kind
it
of. But
does.
Yeah.
But it was one of those episodes where we got more than halfway through, and I was like, we're not going to check back in with Doc and Sprocket, are we?
Yeah, we don't. Do we even see them?
No.
Yeah, okay.
It's like it's a better version of when they fell asleep outside. Because technically they still fell asleep outside,
right?
But they planned it this time.
That's a good point.
Down in Fraggle Rock, we're actually in the Gorg's garden at first, where Pa is talking about ruling over the land as far as the eye can see, and then talks about the Nirvana tree.
It's always been there.
Always been there, just out of frame.
Noticed the Nirvana tree? Come on.
And the writing in this episode really got me.
Yeah, there's some really good funny Pa lines, especially.
Yeah, so he's talking about the Nirvana tree, says the last leaf fell from the Nirvana tree in his Pa's garden, and that Junior will be king once all the leaves fall off of their Nirvana tree.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly, as Pa is saying that they won't fall for years, all the leaves fall off the tree at once.
Yeah, he's living a Beauty and the Beast kind of lifestyle.
I wish there'd been a little bit more of a reason why this happened.
Yeah.
It's like really plot convenient.
Maybe the tree has just made up its mind that Junior is ready, you know?
Okay. I could take that.
They could have started with there just being one leaf on the tree. But then Pa would be stressed out and not.
Well, it could be one of those things of like maybe there's 2 leaves or something like that. And he's like, it's been 300 years since a leaf fell off this tree.
Yeah.
So he's not too stressed because it takes a long time.
Right. Or if they had like bumped into it or something and all the leaves had fallen off. Yeah. I did think that Pa died when he falls down.
It does. Well, yeah, because the leaf falls and Pa immediately falls.
Which would have been pretty funny, actually.
Well, and Junior reacts as if he had died.
Yeah, right.
Because he runs to go get Ma, and he's like, Pa was standing up, and then he just fell down. Ma comes out to console Pa because she knows what this means. And this is when they actually find out there is one leaf left.
And Pa won't die. He can retire. They basically talk about him doing all the stuff he didn't ever get to do.
Right. But his because she's like, yeah, you can go fishing now. You can lay around. He's like, I do all that now, but I also rule the universe. So really, it's about the power for him. Yeah. It's not about doing anything. It's just being able to say, I am the ruler of the universe.
Boss your son around.
So we get a sad Junior song where he's pondering what the universe actually is as he questions how he could possibly rule it. It's called How Wide, How Far, How Long. And it's very sweet. It sounds a little bit like Frank Sinatra's My Way. Well, after the song, Junior decides that if the last leaf can't fall, he doesn't ever have to be king. And I was like, oh, he's going to go get some glue. He's going to staple it or something. But no, instead he rips it off the tree and eats it.
They do. There's that funny line where Pa's like, he sees the last leaf has fallen off the tree and he's like, I guess I got to do what my father did before me. Try to glue the leaves back on the tree.
Yeah. I think that's my favorite line maybe of the episode.
Yeah. It's great that there is this like very majestic looking and very majestic named tree that has such meaning in their culture. And Pa's just like, fuck this thing. I'm gonna be
Well, I feel
King
like we
Fraggle.
we got a bit of that when the creepy knight guy, the
Oh
cloaked
yeah,
man.
Sir Hubris.
Is
Sir
that what it
Hubris. Yeah,
was?
it was Sir Hubris.
Okay. Yeah, there's the whole tale of Sir Hubris of when he shows up, the Gorgs can no longer rule.
Right.
And I remember when that happens, Pa immediately is looking for a loophole.
Uh-huh.
He's like, well, okay. I know we have this Gorgic tradition, but as soon as something like threatens his rule,
Yeah.
he wants to abandon Gorgic tradition altogether.
Very relatable impulse on his part.
But the problem here is when Junior eats the Nirvana tree leaf, it causes him to shrink down to Fraggle size, and we get a hand puppet Junior Gorg.
He's so stinking cute.
He looks a lot like the little critter guy, who I guess is just called Little Critter.
Yeah.
From the Mercer Mayer children's books, which I remember
loved
reading a
those
lot as a
books.
kid. I love this episode so much, Sam. It's
Yeah,
so
me
good.
too. It's a really good
Getting
one.
Junior to be friendly with Doozers and Wembley and hanging out is
Yeah, when he met
such a
the
good
Doozers,
premise.
my mind was blown.
Well, and there's parts of this where, again, my poor memory comes into play because there's things that are revealed in this episode as if they are the first time something is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced they are, because there's the episode where Moki brings a Doozer up to the Gorg Garden.
Because all three of the beings have to like be in the same place and do something. Right.
Right. And when Moki becomes friends with Junior, I don't remember the episode well enough, but I would be surprised if she doesn't mention her name at some point.
I think there are a couple times where I think he's met Gobo enough to know his name, and I think
yeah, the things that shocked me were learning that Fraggles have names,
right,
learning that Doozers exists, and then the Fraggles learning that the Doozer sticks are made from radishes.
Which I'm not sure if that's just something I knew and have brought that with me through the episodes or what. Because
like,
I think
the
it was
Doozers have definitely talked about it, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I would have, if you would have asked me, I would have been pretty sure that the Fraggles knew about this arrangement. But maybe not. We have seen both sides of this where, something we thought was true in Fraggle Rock doesn't end up actually being a part of it. And the thing where they say, fuck it, we're retconning everything we previously said.
In this case, the retcon is perfectly fine. I mean,
yeah,
this is one where it would have been fun if there's a couple of times where Junior has learned things about Fraggles where it's like, it would have been fun if they had kept doing that. Or even like Ma has learned things about Fraggles where it's like, well, she actually was best friends with Moki briefly, and like they went through, or with Red, and they went through a whole thing together. But
yeah, I'm willing to accept, like, because this is one of the last episodes, that this is now the canon of Fraggle Rock.
Right, exactly.
You state these things in one of the last 3 episodes, and I'm like, yep, this is where we leave it. Well, coincidentally, Moki wants to show Wembley their Nirvana tree, which they've also known about forever.
Yeah.
This is when Pa spots Moki, Wembley, and a shrunken Junior and thinks they're all Fraggles. So Moki and Wembley escape back to the Fraggle Rock hole. This is another one of my favorite lines where Moki's telling Wembley, like, oh, I have to go quickly write this down in my journal because I got to write down about how much fun we had. And Wembley, after Moki walks away, goes, I wonder why I didn't know it was fun.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So Junior's trying to run away from Pa, who is trying to thump him because he thinks he's a Fraggle. And Wembley sees this, thinks, oh, there's a Fraggle in the garden who needs help. Here, come here, I'll help you. And so he escapes into Fraggle Rock and runs into Wembley, who at first laughs uproariously at Junior for getting shrunken down until he realizes, oh, your dad's trying to kill you. Maybe I won't laugh at you anymore. That's a pretty bad problem to have.
Not a fun thing to hear. But I love that Wembley is the guide for this. He's the perfect person to be it. And I do love that everybody laughs so hard at Junior when they first figure out what's going on.
But it allows Wembley to be the one to be like, hey, everyone, no laughing. This is a serious matter.
He's a good peacemaker.
Well, and then when Wembley's the one telling you that, you're like, oh, this must be serious because
you're an idiot.
Yeah, you don't really take things seriously that often. So the fact that you're doing this now is sort of shocking.
I think he kind of takes everything seriously, and to the point where he is a fool. Like Like he thinks
see.
everything is weighted the same in his head. So it is harder
Right.
to tell when So it's harder to tell when something is serious because to him, everything is potentially the most important thing that's ever happened. Then you kind of
Right.
got to suss out from there. Are you just being a fool or is this real?
You had brought up recently, I think, we were texting about Fraggle Rock because
That's
that's
what
our
we do.
lives.
Yeah.
That no one, we hadn't seen a Fraggle. We were pretty sure eat a doozer stick in quite
In
a
a
while.
long time, or even
Like it
reference
seemed like
it
they
or
had just
anything like
dropped
that.
this part of their personalities.
Yeah, though they must be eating it. It's important to the circle of life.
Well, and we also, we get caught up in freely hanging out and talking to Fraggles
Yeah,
in these episodes without any repercussions of having to go on trial once
right. She
again.
doesn't go to jail for
No.
talking to them. Yeah.
But she is the only doozer we see.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
maybe she escaped from their clutches. But yeah, we do see them having to address the eating of doozer sticks in
Right.
this episode. But before that, Wembley is like, "Oh, you need help? I know exactly who to take you to. You got to go see our friend, the trash heap."
This was also exciting because it was like that's their trash heap. They don't even know.
Which, like, I feel like they could have drawn more attention to. I feel like
Yeah.
Junior should have been like, this is where I dump all of our stuff every day.
Yeah.
I know this place. This isn't special. Philo and Gunge are running late for some reason. And they come in winded to introduce Marjorie and also laugh at Junior.
Yeah. The running late thing does feel like they were just like, this is kind of boring. We got to do something.
Yeah. Let's change up. Like, how do we change up the trash heap for one of the last episodes? How do we
Yeah.
make this more interesting? Well, this is when the trash heap drops her vague advice of when you eat a Nirvana leaf, you don't always get what you want, but you get what you need. And you need to see the universe in a way that you haven't seen it before.
So I guess not that vague. I don't know why he is frustrated with her vagueness, but she's pretty straightforward there.
Yes, and they accidentally almost immediately figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they go back down from the trash heap, Junior says to Wembley, "I never would have thumped anyone if I knew how it felt."
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, check, he did it.
He's very receptive to lessons.
But neither Wembley nor Junior in that moment go, oh, that must be what she was talking about.
That's the thing she just said that we needed to do.
No, because he has more to learn, Sam.
Yeah.
He's got to learn about how everything is connected.
I have a little qualm with this, but
all right.
So he learned. This is when he meets Cotterpin, right? Cotterpin pulls.
Well, first he gets actually introduced to Wembley first. This is when he learns.
That's right.
And is shocked that Wembley has a name. We get a little moment before that where Pa and Ma are talking about where Junior could have gone, and Pa says something very concerning, where he's like, he's probably off having one last fling before becoming king.
With who? And who?
There's
did
no
Pa
one
have
else.
his with.
Both very good questions, Sam. One, I like that Ma's pissed. She's like, wait, what? You were off having a fling before you became king?
Yeah, having sex with a tree or something. Who knows?
Or the Frogman.
Wander McMooch.
Wander McMooch.
Yeah.
Wander McSmooch.
It is going to be really sad when Junior's like, there's no one for me to marry. I am the last one.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I don't think we're going to get into that problem.
He doesn't learn that.
That'd be a nice thing for Back to the Rock to introduce, like a nice, sweet girl, Gorg, for Junior to fall in love with.
Quest for more Gorgs, because that's just.
Well, they could do like a nice, allegory sort of situation where it's like, I come from a home of an interesting parental relationship of they love each other, but they also are jerks to me sometimes. So how do I have a better, healthier relationship?
A normaler relationship, yeah.
Well, Wembley brings Junior to Fraggle Rock, and this is when everyone starts laughing at him. But Wembley shows how good of a friend he is to even Junior Gorg. And this is when they start talking about Junior's role and about how he's going to be the ruler of the universe. And they transition into singing Boss of Yourself.
Yep. Oh, great song.
A great song.
About how no one can be the boss of anyone else.
Not allowed.
Yes. Please. I would like that to happen, huh?
You're a boss, Sam.
Well, I don't want to be. But yeah, this is a great song. That well, the lyrics are basically just Fraggles don't have bosses.
And it's more of like just saying like, yeah, you can do all these things, but you can't boss people
Yeah, we're gonna
around.
tell you to fuck off if you tell us to do anything.
Yeah, you can try and lead us to water, but you damn sure won't make us drink.
Yeah. Well, actually, they won't tell them to fuck off. They just won't do it. They'll be like, okay.
But at the end of that song is when Junior accidentally backs up and knocks down a doozer tower.
Yeah.
And Cotterpin comes in to be like, hey, you got to eat this building now.
It is such a great episode. I love that he's such a good point of view character where it's like you don't have to like bring Doc into Fraggle World or something like that. You can just have Big Stupid Junior learning about it. But yeah, so then Cotterpin comes, talks about how they're made of radishes, and Junior's like, it's all connected. I grow radishes. They make the radishes into sticks, which they need to do because they need to build to be able to be alive. And then the Fraggles eat them, which the Fraggles, first of all, do not need to do. And the Fraggles do not provide anything in return for eating the doozer sticks, do they? I guess they keep the doozers able to build stuff.
Right. The doozers stay alive by building, which they can only do if the Fraggles eat their buildings.
But Junior gets nothing out of this equation.
He likes growing radishes, he says.
He just has fun.
Yeah.
Fun's enough.
He's like, I like growing the radishes. You like eating the radishes, and the doozers need them to make their doozer sticks.
Okay, fair enough. I guess that counts. The circle just seems a little bit like it stalls out with the Fraggles.
Yeah. We can't.
They don't contribute much.
No. When you have a whole society about no one can be a boss, no one can work, no one actually does anything, it's like, well, at some point, you gotta contribute something.
Our job is to careen wildly through these caves and knock stuff over.
I do like that they don't spend too much time having Junior be confused by things, that they let him solve it pretty quickly. Because like you said, he's a good point of view character, and I think it would have been very tedious if he had been like, I just don't get it.
Or if he had been like, I'm going to be your king now, or something like that. Like, if he had been
you guys are so
Junior.
easy to rule.
Yeah.
Well, this is when the episode truly gets wild, because
it really does take a turn.
Junior decides he's going to go tell Ma and Pa about the connections of the doozers and the Fraggles and convince them not to do anything bad to the Fraggles anymore. But he's a little too late because Pa has constructed a ticking time bomb on a roller skate.
Huge sticks of dynamite. Yeah.
He rolls it down into Fraggle Rock and it rolls all the way into the Great Hall.
It's like human-sized sticks of dynamite.
It's the best, most like cartoonish prop we've seen in Fraggle Rock. But we get the line from Junior yelling, all my new friends are gonna die.
Yeah.
So distressing to hear from him.
Because they will.
The word death and dying is said a lot in this episode. So Junior runs to the Great Hall, tells them all to run for their lives, and he'll stay behind to defuse the bomb.
Which he does very easily.
He just pulls a random wire. And it's like, hey, I did it.
I kind of thought he'd be like yelling out of the well and be like, Pa, what do I do? Yeah, why'd you do this? And then Pa would like tell him or something. But no.
Pull the red wire, son.
Yeah, he just does. He just know. He's like, I don't know how to do this. And then he does it.
Yeah, it's like 50-50 chance that they all just died.
Yeah. Less than that. There's more than 2 wires.
That's true. He very, very easily could have killed all the Fraggles and himself.
That's the last episode. That's how the German version ends.
Yeah, they're like, ooh, we like this. Can we just cut to Black Soprano style in the middle of him pulling that cable?
Yeah.
Well, Junior goes back to finally confront Pa, and he tries to tell him, hey, I understand the universe now, and that's a good thing. And Pa says, you don't have to understand the universe. You just have to rule it.
I love and even at the end of the episode, he's still like, I don't know why it matters that he learned any of this.
Well, thankfully, as Junior says, it doesn't matter because I'm the king now. And then it's time for Junior's coronation, which I was shocked to see actually happening in this series.
Yeah, me too. This was very surprising. I thought for sure at the end he would say, I don't want to be king. You can just keep being king, Pa.
Right. This is, I think, getting back to what I had read in the behind the scenes, like History of Fraggle Rock book, is that Jim Henson was kind of opposed to not you know, to the he liked the sort of episodic nature of things wrapping up, and you could watch them in any order. Doesn't
Right.
matter. He
Right.
didn't really want to end the show in a way that felt like a finale. And the writers pushed back and asked, like, well, can we use the last, I guess, 3 episodes or whatever to make it a little bit more of a finale? And he gave in.
Yeah, I have never really understood that. I guess I understand when like
I think it's
maybe
more the
like
days of syndication
yeah,
when
right.
like they're airing episodes on a random channel whenever they want in any order. So to avoid that being confusing, you would just make the episodes able to be watched in any order.
Or yeah, or like just being an executive who knows
Mm.
like who's just like you have to do it this way because that's just how it does it. But yeah, for Jim to be that stubborn about it surprises me a little bit, and like I don't know, it just seems more fun to make your show where your characters can grow a little bit and things change. But
Well, the coronation, uh, you know, they have a nice robe for Junior. All the Fraggles are there. Oh,
mhm.
the 5 important Fraggles are there. But we find out Junior's first and last act as king will be to declare that there will never be another king, and he throws his crown into the sky,
He just hucks it right into space
breaking through the barrier between worlds.
or whatever, unless they just live. I don't know. Yeah. Do we share the same sky? Who knows?
It's a great question that I don't think will ever be answered
No.
of where the Gorg's garden is.
Yeah. The Gorg's Garden is
Uh,
one of those places like on Google Maps where it's like fuzzed out, you know? Like, what is going on here?
Well, then we get back to Doc and Sprocket, who are out searching because Doc saw a meteor last night, and Sprocket finds it. And it's the giant crown that Junior just threw into space.
And this doesn't change the course of human history like it maybe should.
Well, because Doc probably doesn't tell anybody about it. And it's probably too heavy for him to carry off.
I guess. Why wouldn't he tell anybody about it though? It's a scientific discovery. There's also a
He
walking
can tell his
path
dying
right.
friend,
Well, he could tell the Canadian government.
Miss Ardath, who we'll never hear from again, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess not.
He's going to have to
Because
quit his job at the inn
Yeah, well, I think when he
if he
found
still
out,
has it.
I think when he found out she was 36 or whatever, he was like, "Yeah, that ain't happening."
What? How many stars? I think I can guess.
I mean, that's got to be a 4-star episode.
Yeah.
How
makes
else
a lot
could
of
it be
sense.
anything but? It's ties everything we've been learning together.
Yeah, I think we've said it a dozen times at this point, but they are really ending on a high, and that episode just is peak Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
And I think it's good that they sort of peak that way because now it's all about bringing it home. Because the next episode we watched is the second to last episode of Fraggle Rock, The Honk of Honks, from March 23rd, 1987, written by Jocelyn Stevenson and directed by Richard Hunt.
That's interesting. I wonder how that came about. That, like, especially because they have such a stable of directors that have been with the show forever. That's really interesting.
Yeah, most of the episodes are directed by a lot of the same people over and over. Or they'll split up a season or something. But yeah, Muppet Wiki doesn't offer any explanation for why Richard Hunt was the one to direct it. Because yeah, the next episode is directed by Eric Till, who is another person who has directed a good, chunk of Fraggle Rock episodes. So it's not like they were like, okay, the last 2 are going to be Richard and Jim or something.
Right.
Another weird Muppet Wiki fact, though, for some reason, this episode is the last one in the European Spanish dub of the series.
I wonder if we'll understand why in the next episode, but
I don't know. And I understand that you can end with this episode, but it's interesting to end with essentially what is part 1 of a series finale.
I am really curious what happens in the next one. Because it doesn't
Maybe it's
seem
just
like
my dinner with Andre of Doc and Gobo having a conversation for a full half hour.
That would be kind of cool.
Well, the beginning of this episode kicks off with Doc setting up some experiments to see if there really is intelligent life behind the hole in his wall.
He got a lab coat and everything. He's going for it.
Yeah, he's transitioned a bit from tinkerer to scientist.
Yeah, in the last couple episodes especially.
It is, that's the one trait about Doc and Sprocket. Like, I know for a long time I was bothered by them because I didn't feel like they needed to be there at all.
Yeah, right.
Now I'm glad they're around, but I don't like the inconsistency of Doc's life. Of like, it's very much what's convenient this week. Is he a scientist? Is he a tinkerer? Does he like Ned Schimmelfinney? Does he like Miss Ardath? Does he work at the inn? What is
Maybe he
this
got
man's
fired
life?
after the garden gnome situation at the end.
And he doesn't want to tell Sprocket, so he has to keep it from everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I have to move with Ned to move across the country. And Sprocket's like, well, what about the inn? He's like, oh, yeah, Miss Ardath's going to be heartbroken.
I don't think anyone in Canada will ever hire me ever again. So,
Yeah, we were moving to Arizona, Sprocket. You're going to love it. Well, during this, coincidentally, Sprocket's eating some cornflakes and got a swoop fumer in his cornflakes.
now is that Swoop Fumer? Is that from another episode?
It's not, I don't think.
Okay.
I don't know. Swoop fumer. Let's see. In the first season episode, Don't Cry Over Spilt Milk, Doc realized that they had no specific
that
name.
they don't have a name.
That's right. This is
Okay.
okay. Thank you, Muppet Wiki, for bringing this to our attention.
Yeah.
Because it felt like a thing. Like when I heard Swoop Fumer the first time in this episode, my head said, "Is that what they're really called? Like, is that like the secret unknown name that nobody knows for party blowers?"
Yeah.
But this is why. It's because Doc named them Swoop Fumers in the first season. That's a nice touch.
Yeah. And that, I wonder, too bad Swoop Fumer didn't happen, you know? We don't call
We
him
could
that
still
in the
do
real
it.
world. We could try.
You could. That feels like a thing that you could pretty easily lie about when somebody has party blowers.
Did you know
Like,
that?
did you know they're actually called Swoop Fumers?
That's right. Doesn't come up often. Don't think I've seen a party blower in maybe 10 years.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like the only time they ever come up, they're at something and people go, "Oh, these are disappointing."
Yeah, or they just go, "Hey, give me one of those things," and then that's when you say, "Actually," and then
There's a great
everybody
GIF.
says, "Shut up."
There's a great GIF on the Swoop Fumer page of Boober blowing one.
Oh yeah,
And back to the rock. But down in Fraggle Rock, Gobo is headed up to outer space just to explore, it seems, which isn't really a thing.
it almost feels like he's up there to eavesdrop.
Right, like it just sounds like he's making regular trips out to outer space like Uncle Traveling Matt does, which is not a concept we've been introduced to really previously. But he sees the silly creatures are there, but this time it's not going to stop him. He's going to go explore anyways. Meanwhile, Doc is explaining to Sprocket that Ned said he'll stop by after his doctor's appointment and mentions that he's still dealing with his asthma, but telling Doc it's nothing to worry about.
Oh boy. Famous last words. It's like in a movie when a character coughs blood up, you know?
That's what I'm picturing. That is exactly what I'm picturing. Is Doc was hanging out over in Ned Schimmelfinney's tiki bar, and they're having a drink.
Right. He
and
coughs into a white handkerchief and looks
Yeah.
at it very discreetly and sees blood in it. It's like, I can't tell my best friend.
Oh.
Everything's fine. I just have a bit of asthma.
Yeah. That's not what happens when you have asthma there, Ned.
Dope. But Doc's too stupid to know.
Yeah, Doc doesn't know that. He's not an actual scientist.
Oh, yeah. I feel like there's a reality where Doc would be like, I'm going to cure your asthma, Ned.
I built you an iron lung, Ned. Here, climb inside of this. I'll save your life.
Explodes him like an overinflated balloon. That's why he's got to move.
Yeah, he's fearing for his life.
Right, yeah. It's
like
a
if
fake
it gets
phone
too serious,
call with
Doc's
Ned.
going to try
Yeah, it's for Sprocket. So if Sprocket gets asked by the cops, he won't know anything about it.
Yeah, Ned moved, I think, is what happened. Definitely.
He had to kill Fluffinella, too, because she saw everything.
Well, Doc is noticing Sprocket freaking out, making some noise, and so he goes to see what's happening, moves the box that Gobo is hiding behind, and we find out that Doc cannot see Gobo Fraggle.
And you know, we'll get to it way later, but this didn't bother me as much as I thought it was going to, because I feel like when you read descriptions of it, it's like it's revealed that that humans can't see Fraggles, but I feel like Cantus implies that anybody couldn't see Fraggles if they didn't have the right frame of mind or something like that.
Right.
It's not just
he's like
people
he's
can't
one of
see them.
those.
Yeah, and that implies that there could be like a Gorg who couldn't see Fraggles or something if they just weren't thinking about it the right way. So I think it's okay. I think it's okay that all those people saw Matt, because there's, he's making his presence known in the world. He's unavoidable.
But it also explains why, Uncle Traveling Matt can get through Doc's workshop all the time.
Right.
And explains sometimes where people don't seem to mind Uncle Traveling Matt doing weird things.
That's true. Yeah. So yeah, I was expecting this to be like to break the canon for me, but I feel like the way that Cantus explains it is fine.
Well, speaking of Cantus, he's about to come back because when Gobo comes back from outer space, he runs into Wembley. Another great line. He grabs Wembley and goes, "Give it to me straight, Wembley. Am I invisible?" Thankfully, he is not. And Wembley was coming to get him to tell him that Cantus is arriving. And so Cantus is here for the last time in Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to see him one more time.
Me too. I know we had that moment a few episodes ago. We were like, oh no.
Yeah, right.
What if we don't see Cantus again? They're, of course, singing Let Me Be Your Song, a throwback to one of their earlier songs.
Mm-hmm.
And Gobo runs in to tell Cantus all about Doc not being able to see him. And Cantus doesn't really seem to care that much, which isn't
Or
surprising.
he's playing the long game or something. Cantus has schemes within schemes in this episode. I'm not really clear on.
Yes and no. I think a lot of times it comes across as Cantus has these long-term plans. But I also feel like there are plenty of times where Cantus is like, oh, that really worked out for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just kind of spewing some bullshit, and it all came together.
Just as I had predicted.
Turns out Cantus and the Minstrels have a great new song, the Song of Songs. And that is the answer to everything. And they will only sing the Song of Songs when they hear the honk of honks, which Gobo must be the one to honk.
Which Gobo's annoyed about. It's like homework.
Well, yeah, and also when you're like, hey, there's bigger problems, the humans can't see me.
I have just unraveled one of the mysteries of our existence. Yeah.
And people are just being like, yeah, but go find a horn. So Gobo decides, you know what? I'm not going to go look for the honk. I'm going to go back to outer space and figure out what the hell's going on with this silly creature. So he comes out, he starts yelling, trying to get Doc's attention. And while Sprocket can see him and hear him the whole time, Doc still doesn't. I like that Gobo has the realization. He's like, I've been hiding all these years for nothing.
How annoying would that be? Yeah.
Well, Gobo comes back through the hole, and Cantus is there waiting for him, pissed off because Gobo isn't focusing on the honk of honks.
Time. Yeah, I can't quite. There's just like Cantus wants him to focus on this thing, and is disappointed that he doesn't, but also knows at the end that there was something else he was interested in. So there's like maybe there's a lesson in this, but I'm not quite sure if it's like abandoning your duty or something.
Or maybe like not focusing on what matters.
But it seems like he is focusing on what matters. And it also seems like the Honk of Honks song doesn't reveal all, really. But maybe. I guess it makes him go talk to Doc, but
yeah,
he goes and talks to Doc anyway.
I don't know. I feel like they definitely, I feel like they land the plane successfully on this one. Like it all comes together at the end.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's a less clear moral along the way.
It's only when you think about it at the end, you're like, what was Cantus doing?
Right. Like, what was his purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Gobo tries to get this over with and says, aha, we have a Fraggle horn. I'll blow that. So he does. And Cantus says that's not enough. As he keeps saying, it's a part of it, but not all of it.
Yeah.
So Gobo decides, you know what? Who do we go to for help? Ye old trash heap. And he goes up there to hunt and finds a big old horn-like periscope. But once again, Gobo hooks up this periscope horn to the Fraggle horn, blows it, and Cantus says, it's part of it, but not all of it.
Shut up.
So Gobo realizes, of course, we just, Junior Gorg was just down here last week. We all realize everything's connected.
We're all best friends now. Yeah.
I need to incorporate the Doozers and the Gorgs. We're all connected. So he goes to talk to Cotterpin, who's building some buildings, and he sees a big old weird piece of something that has a hole on the end and thinks, I could blow that.
I can blow through it.
He quickly goes to Junior, who in about 2 seconds wraps up his whole scene and goes, hey, I got one of Ma's hair curlers right here.
I do like that he doesn't have to steal it, that he is just straight up talking to Junior and being like, hey, we got anything? But also the Gorgs do have a whole horn based like doesn't he had to like toot a horn, right?
I believe as part of some sort of ceremony at some point, he had to play a
learn
horn.
how to play the trumpet. That could have been the tutor, even though it's huge, probably too big for them.
Yeah, that'd be like an apartment building for the Fraggles. Well, throughout this whole thing, the time that has been ticking away is basically Candace is saying that by the end of the third snack, you must blow the honk of honks.
Yeah.
Or the Song of Songs will be canceled. So Gobo comes back, attaches the doozer box and the Ma Gorg curler to the Fraggle horn, and blows it. But again, it's part of it, but not all of it. And so the Song of Songs is canceled. But Kanta says, you could have done everything. You did something. Now, there is nothing.
He was trying really hard, though. This is frustrating to me because he does abandon his original quest and throws himself wholeheartedly into this. And it is like one of those those crappy text-based adventure games where the real answer is impossible. Like, how would he know to go upstairs and talk to Doc and get his little party tutor?
Well, we get a reminder about the party tutor because we cut back to Doc and Sprocket, where Doc is kind of just telling Sprocket again that he's nuts and Fraggles aren't real. And Sprocket blows the swoop fumer at him and wanders off. We cut down to a Gobo moping about in the caves and is once again confronted by Cantus.
He got yelled at. He got yelled at maybe more than almost any Fraggles ever got yelled at.
It does seem like there should be something bigger at play here that Cantus is trying to prevent from happening. Like, we've seen Fraggles freeze to death.
This is more serious to him somehow than the freezing to death bell.
Right. Like if there was something that basically the Fraggles will die if they don't get Doc's help. And so you must talk to Doc so that he can do this thing and save us.
But instead he's just like, I wrote a cool song and I made up a puzzle for it too.
Yeah. I want to play my song real bad, and I accidentally made it really confusing. I made an ARG that people have to solve, and nobody's solved it yet, and it's really frustrating. They don't get to release my song. If somebody could just figure this out, it'd be great.
Yeah, he's leaking clues on Reddit.
This Cantus fan 1 is just posting about, guys, I think maybe is this? Have we tried this yet?
15 years later, somebody releases a 5-hour YouTube video that's blowing the lid off of it. And Cantus fan 2 was the other guy,
Yeah, the guy who's just there always being like, oh, right, I forgot Cantus is confusing.
The kind of high guy, yeah.
Well, this is where they start talking more about the silly creature, and Cantus finally is like, well, the silly creature is one of those who cannot see. And asks Gobo, has the silly creature ever touched you? Because once touched, he will see. Which again, I'm okay with that lore. I'm okay that okay, Doc's a man of science. He doesn't believe what he cannot see or touch, I guess, in this case. And so without...
Yeah, Doc has got such a childlike quality to him, though, I think. But I guess he's had a closed mind about the Fraggles for the whole series. So I suppose that is he hasn't wanted to see them and hasn't believed Sprocket. So I guess that still tracks. I'm just weirdly okay. I was expecting to be so upset about it and to be like, this is taking me out of the whole series. But it really didn't do that at all.
Well, Gobo exits the hole again to go touch Doc. And while this is happening, Ned has called again with some bad news.
This is kind of a hard one to write the synopsis for in parts because it was Doc and Sprocket or Doc and Gobo have to touch each other. It's I gotta elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, even in the episode itself, when Candace is like, "Has the silly creature touched you?" Is like, what? Just what do you bumped
mean?
into? What are we talking about here? And then for one of the touchings to be an emotional touching, I'm like, oh, okay. I feel like if you just touch hands, that's both of you touching each other, so that should count. But
somehow it doesn't.
So Ned's on the phone telling Doc the bad news that he's not doing well and he needs to move away for his health. Sprocket's not around to console Doc, so Doc goes to sit in his rocking chair and says, I'm losing my friend. It starts to
And
break down a bit.
looks sadder than I've maybe really ever seen anyone look in my life.
He does a great job,
Yeah.
especially when you think about, at the end of the day, he is on a silly puppet show.
Exactly, yeah.
And a puppet's about to console him as he's realizing his best friend is both moving away and possibly dying.
Yeah, and he has to pretend like he can't see the puppet that's standing right in front of him.
Yeah. And his puppet dog isn't there to console him.
Yeah, and he's got a puppet
Maybe they
dog.
couldn't have his puppet dog around because if Doc called Ned his best friend in front of Sprocket, he might get pissed.
Sprocket would be so sad. You're right.
So Gobo consoles Doc by touching his hand, and now Doc can see Gobo.
Beautiful.
And Gobo explains that he's a Fraggle, and he lives behind the hole in the wall. And Doc is not nearly as, shocked as I would have expected.
He also kind of, when Sprocket comes back, he's kind of like, maybe I didn't really see what I thought I saw. Come on, dude.
Yeah, he's like, maybe it was the shock of hearing about Ned that made me think I was seeing a Fraggle. But he is very kind and nice to Gobo. He shows him the swoop fumer, and Gobo's like, wait a minute. That thing honks.
Mm-hmm.
So Gobo takes it and goes back to Fraggle Rock just as Sprocket comes back inside. And that's when Doc is, trying to say maybe he didn't see a Fraggle.
Don't be a weasel.
But he also perfectly describes to Sprocket, yeah, I think I just saw a Fraggle. It was about this big, nice big eyes. And Sprocket's like, yeah, dude. That's exactly what I've been talking about forever.
I really like this part. There's a line that is like, makes it a 4-star episode for me where Gobo's like, you're not just a silly creature, you're a you. Just like me. I think that's a really nice thing to say.
Yeah, he's like, we're both yous, like realizing that they are the same in many ways and not just like, oh, you're a big weird monster in outer space, that like we're both human, for lack of a better word.
You're just a sad guy who's worried about his friend.
I'm a sad guy who worries about his friends.
Yeah.
Is your Ned Wembley?
Yeah. Is your friend stuck under a bunch of rocks? We can figure that out. We figure that out every week.
Yeah. My friends very often have trouble breathing because they're buried by rocks.
Oh, well, Wembley has a horrible asthma problem. Remember?
Oh, yeah, he's allergic to something.
Rock dust.
That's right. Wembley is Ned Schimmelfinney.
Yeah. And he has a Hawaiian shirt on.
Well, just like the Hawaiian tiki bar thing is something we've made up about Ned Schimmelfinney.
But it's got to be true, doesn't it? Have to be true.
And I don't think they're going to do it next episode, so I think we can just write that into our headcanon.
Yeah.
Unless Doc has to like help pack up his tiki bar before they head out for the big move.
What if Ned showed up and he was played by like, who did he be played by? By like
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking too. Not because we have a whole cut conversation about Burt Reynolds.
No. But that would be a great reveal if like an actual super famous person comes in and he's like, hey, Doc, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Well, Gobo takes the swoop fumer back down to Fraggle Rock, hooks it up to all the other horns, and he finally honks the honk of honks. And everyone hears it, from the Gorgs, the Doozers, to even Doc and Sprocket. Even though Doc is like, there's a horn happening outside. He goes outside to figure out what's going on.
He doesn't understand the importance of the honk of honks.
No. But he does tell Sprocket that if Ned moves, you and I will move too.
Beautiful.
And then we get the Song of Songs, which is The Rock Goes On, a fantastic song that they did actually just use in this most recent season of Back to the Rock.
It is a fantastic song. It's not, it was more like wacky than I was expecting it to be for something that had so much build up. It was like more like frolicking, and it wasn't like I was picturing like all the Who's in Whoville singing their song,
like the true like finale song of Fraggle Rock of like, we've done it. This is peak Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
But they cut back to Doc and Sprocket one more time at the end of the episode just to confirm once again. Doc says to Sprocket that they'll be moving after taking that Fraggle's advice.
And it's a cliffhanger, basically, I guess.
It is a cliffhanger for the next episode we will watch, which is called Change of Address.
Oh, boy. I'm sad that it's going away. But this episode, I think talking about it, I think this is a 3.5-star episode compared
Was it previously
to
a 4?
yeah, compared to
Mm,
the episode before it, which I think was a little bit better, just because the plot was a little bit better. But I'm gonna
right.
stick with a 4 because they're still sticking the landing on. It's hard to write the last episode or something. I bet.
And I do feel like they're doing literally the best they could
Yeah,
with this
I
sort of
agree.
situation.
Yeah.
And again, I think the worst thing I can say about it is I wish they had done some more of this earlier in the series because I
Right.
would like to see them have more time to explore these kinds of things.
Yeah.
For instance, this is something they kind of did in Back to the Rock season 1 and then didn't really do much with in Back to the Rock season 2, which was interesting,
Uh-huh.
is that at one point Cotterpin goes up to the workshop and leaves behind her little drill,
Oh,
and Doc finds the little drill and is like, what's this thing?
tiny toy drill.
Yeah, but then doesn't really explore that anymore of like,
Huh.
where'd that come from? I bet there's tiny creatures in the walls. Well, Sam, how you feeling about very nearly being done with Fraggle Rock?
In some ways, I'm excited to move on to more
Muppet Babies?
worse stuff. Like I'm excited to go into, I think I said this before, just like the unknown a little bit more.
Yeah.
And to be, because like it's fun to talk about, but sometimes like if a show's too good, it's like, well, it's just a good show.
Right, like we never talk about the puppetry because the puppetry's too good.
Yeah, the puppetry's just amazing. Like this is, I think, I'm gonna probably talk about this more next episode, but I've always not given this show the amount of respect it deserves. I think,
Mm,
like, I think for a show that is so beloved, it's still kind of like overlooked in a certain way, even though there's like a
right.
whole revival series of it going on. I think it's still like people would be like, the Fraggles are Muppets. He'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah. But this is the best show that they've done, in my opinion, by a long shot. Like,
I think people think of it more of as a baby show than the Muppets are.
yeah,
Like they think of like, there's the Muppet Show for cool teens and adults, and then Fraggle Rock was the baby show.
right. But it's certainly I think it's like what's the target audience for this? Like a 12-year-old and a little bit younger than that. Just like you have
Probably,
to,
yeah.
it's an emotional maturity, emotional intelligence show, which
Yeah, it's like a Pixar movie in a lot of ways where
yeah, that's right.
everyone I think
That
can
makes
get something
sense.
out of it. Like I'm sure the 4-year-olds can watch Fraggle Rock and enjoy
Yeah.
the songs and the cute characters, but the 10-year-olds are going to be learning the things that'll
They're
actually
like, that
make
really
them
gives
better
me something to
people.
think about. Yeah. Remember when Gobo was being so rude? What did we learn from that?
Oh no, I have asthma. Am I going to have to move away?
Yeah. Or I hope I never get crushed by a huge pile of rocks. That seems like it sucks.
Well, maybe it
But-
makes them have their head on a swivel. They're just like, all right, well, keeping my eye out for giant rocks.
Yeah. But it's gonna be, as I'm excited also to watch the Fraggles get a new job or whatever. I think that'll be something. The little bit I know about it is kind of like, they're being very disrespectful to our friends the Fraggles, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will find out next time. But for now, Sam, I gotta ask. It's been a while since we recorded. What non-Muppet things have you enjoyed?
Yeah, I've been trying to watch a bunch of horror movies that I either have never watched or haven't watched in a long enough time that I feel like I haven't watched them. So, like, I watched Return of the Living Dead for the first time. Have you ever seen that movie?
I have not.
So there's Night of the Living Dead, and then there was a
Right.
bit of like a creative disagreement between George Romero and whoever he was working with. So and like some rights issues. So then from that movie, they're split off 2 sequels in 2 different branches. There is
Okay.
Day of the Dead. There's Dawn of the Dead, which is the George Romero's continuation of more
Right.
straightforward continuation of that story. And then there's Return of the Living Dead, which is
It's like a fun 80s romp.
it's a fun 80s romp is right. And it's way funner than I was expecting it to be. But also it's like kind of sad and kind of like really good. And I thought it was just going to be like a gore fest, like stupid movie. And for the most part it is. But it's also like very well made, and the costuming is great, and the creature effects are amazing, and it's really funny. That's like the main thing, is like it's not just stupid funny. It's like kind of like Muppet Show, like Jerry Jewell funny. It's
Hmm.
just like very clever. Lots of little like one-liners and stuff like that. So that's actually probably the best. That's my favorite one that I've watched so far. I also watched Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time in like 20 years or something.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a much better movie than I think of it being, because I've watched the sequels more than I've watched the first one, and they
Right.
just
Now, the
get
first
like,
one is truly terrifying.
yeah, it's creepy, really creepy. I mean, it is kind of funny that a lot of times they just like body check Freddy. Or the thing I didn't remember was that at the end of the movie, they go full Home Alone on Freddy Krueger, and he's like walking through the house, like getting hit by like hammers that are swinging off of the ceiling and like falling into traps, which I do love. I wish every Freddy Krueger movie ended with the same thing, where he's just like stepping on a nail, touching a really hot
They could just
doorknob.
do the second one is like the second Home Alone, where they're like, wait a minute, look out for paint cans.
Yeah. That would have been pretty good. But the most recent one I watched was one that you watched too, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
I also, in the meantime, have been watching a bunch of different things. I watched It Should Happen to You, which is a 1954 movie. It's Jack Lemmon's first movie.
Oh, wow.
It's like a nice romantic comedy sort of thing set in New York, which is why I watched it, because we're going to New York very soon.
Oh.
But yeah, it's a Jack Lemmon, Judy Holliday movie. Very fun. It's very good. It's not like one of the best romantic comedies of all times, but it's having never heard of it before, like I knew nothing about it going in. It was really interesting.
I've never heard of it either, but I love Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, he's very good in it. It's basically about a woman who wants to be famous in New York and realizes that she can just rent a billboard and put her name on it real big, and everyone will be like, who's this lady everyone's talking about on the billboard? But I also been watching Hard Knocks, the HBO football behind the scenes series.
Yeah, right.
Because they're talking about the Chicago Bears this season during their training camp. And I'm not like a huge football guy, but I do enjoy the Bears, and that's why I watch it.
They're really bad too, right?
So the hope is that they're going to be very good this year, because they got a new quarterback that everyone's like, he is the savior of the franchise.
But they were really bad last year. Is that right?
I believe so. I think last year they were terrible, because I think I think they were the worst team. So they got the first draft pick, which is why they got the best quarterback.
Okay.
We'll see if I actually watch any Bears games this year, or if I care about it enough to watch 5 episodes of a documentary.
Okay. Yeah. I could see how that movie wouldn't translate.
Yeah. But the most recent thing that you saw, is Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, which we're not going to spoil here, but I think we can talk about it in a way that is our review without spoiling anything.
I think you're right, because it's not like there's no major revelations really.
No, but there are things that I think are more fun if you don't know about them beforehand.
Yeah, that's true.
What'd you think overall? Beetlejuice.
Gosh, I think it pales in comparison so much to Beetlejuice 1 in terms of just like cinematography, especially, that if Beetlejuice 1 didn't exist, I would have probably had more fun with Beetlejuice 2. But that being said, I had fun watching it anyway. I think it's just like there's something so simple about Beetlejuice 1, and Beetlejuice 2 is not simple at all. It's like one of those sequels where it's so aware that it's a movie and a cultural phenomenon, kind of like Jurassic World or something like that, where it's like,
right, yes,
it's not just
good
a sequel to the movie, it's a sequel to, it's like the combined mental the combined mental energy of the whole entire world thinking about Beetlejuice and then making,
which I understand that you can't, like, I understand the impulse, I guess, to not ignore that. But there are times in this movie where there are scenes happening where just feel like a movie. Like, my biggest thing is just like, you should have just made a movie. Just make a new Beetlejuice movie without the public context of everything. And just make what you wanted to make as a Beetlejuice movie. And it doesn't feel like they did that. And the scenes when they are doing that, when I'm just like, yes, I'm enjoying this, let it go, let's keep doing this thing,
Yeah.
that would last like 5 minutes, and then they would do something incredibly stupid right
Yeah.
after that. And so I felt like
Yeah.
it was ping-ponging back and forth between scenes I really, really enjoyed and had a good time watching, and then they would move on really quickly from those and do a weird pivot that I hated.
Yeah. I think there's I don't know what scenes exactly you're talking about that you thought were incredibly stupid, because I don't feel like there was any scenes where I was super like cringing or anything like that.
To be
Except
fair, I
there's a
think most of
couple.
mine, honestly, I don't like Justin Theroux
Uh-huh.
in most things he's in, but especially this.
Yeah.
And I was
He's
just
not
like,
used well in this, I don't
his
think.
character and the quote unquote villain of the piece,
Right.
the woman in the afterlife who's trying to find Beetlejuice,
Yeah.
both of them are not good characters.
No.
And anytime the plot came back to them, I was like, ah, god damn it, these guys are still here.
Yeah, and they're not good characters, and then this is a tiny spoiler, but at the end they're like fates are intertwined in a way that's just like, this is not earned at all. Like
I also feel
in
like the Justin Theroux character makes Winona Ryder's character worse
I agree with that. Yeah.
by like not giving her a lot of agency over
Hmm.
things, and they kind of try to solve that at the end. But
Yeah.
I feel like for so much of the movie, her character is so passive
Yeah.
that it was kind of a bummer when she is the like biggest driver of the storyline in the first movie.
Yeah. It's feels like she's not playing Lydia. It feels more
Right.
like she's playing her Stranger Things character, which is too bad because yeah, like an older mean goth lady would have been fun to see, but she's not very. And they even call it out in the movie, like Delia is like, "What happened to the mean goth girl?" It's like, yeah, what did happen to the mean goth girl?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that they sort of explain away with convenient lines like that I
Hmm.
think they could have done something more interesting with, where it's like, okay,
Yeah,
explain why she's different. Explain
yeah,
that, I had to become a mom, I had to do this, and now when I dress like this, it's just a costume.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah, that would
eh,
be interesting
like
because
you could have
yeah,
seen her like. I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but like there's a reason she dresses gothy in the movie,
yeah,
and it's not super genuine. I feel like it would have been kind of funny to have her come out from that and dress super normal soccer mom
that would have been
and be like,
great actually.
"Whoa, why
Yeah,
is Lydia dressed like this?" And she'd be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I don't really wear that stuff anymore."
that would have been very interesting. I think that would be a great angle on it. Um,
But I think
yeah.
Catherine O'Hara still amazing,
She is
obviously.
great. I was really glad that they focused more on her. Like, I'm not surprised they focused more on her because she's kind of hot, hot right now.
Yeah.
Or, um, but I thought she was really good in it. I had a lot of fun with her, and I thought there's the moments I think that you're talking about, sort of, where it's like 5 minutes of great stuff, are moments where
Mm,
when Beetlejuice gets to be crazy, they
yeah.
really go for it, and it's very effective. And there's a couple
Yeah.
there's like one scene at the end that's kind of scary, and like the part where there's in the trailer, it shows them in like couples therapy with Beetlejuice. That part's great. It's just like
Yeah.
wall to
Honestly,
wall
it needs a lot more
insanity.
Beetlejuice, and like the movie should have been more about Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
which is
As
a
stupid
wild
as
thing to
like,
say.
yeah, as much as that sounds like that's the worst kind of sequel in some ways, is just like answering all the questions about this guy. But there's a great flashback about
Oh my
Beetlejuice
god, it's
that's
so
like
good.
so funny, and also is like, oh, okay, I can totally accept that this is part of Beetlejuice's life.
Yes, like they do some of that stuff where it's like a lot of reboots do this where they feel the need to over explain
Yeah,
things, and they know that that is a cliche, and so
yeah,
they do it in a really funny way.
yeah,
They do that multiple times where they need to over explain something about
yeah.
maybe why a character isn't in the movie.
It was like fun to spend more time in the afterlife
Yeah.
and to see like those puppets, and there's lots of great practical effects and stuff like that. But I
But I also
think,
think it's not as interesting to have the plot based a lot around the afterlife
yeah,
as much. Whereas, like in the original one, the problem is still a pretty human problem.
right, right.
And I felt like Beetlejuice got to be more interesting when he was turning banisters into snakes
Yeah,
and terrorizing humans in the human world. Um, that just didn't feel like it clicked in the same
yeah.
way.
And there's honestly like a certain amount of that they spend so much time in the afterlife and meeting other afterlife people that don't have superpowers that you're kind of like, why is Beetlejuice? Why can he do all of this stuff?
Well, and the whole like he seemed I don't know. I don't really understand what Beetlejuice is doing in this movie.
Yeah, he's got like a job, and his job
He's got
seems to
like a
be like
job.
he runs the call center where the ghosts call him to do the human exorcisms. But in the first
Right.
one, it seemed like he was almost like in trouble and banished from the afterlife to do that work. But in this one, it's like
Right.
he's part of the bureaucracy of it or something like that.
Yeah, but he also does imply that like it's sort of an underground thing what he's doing, but he's
Right.
got all these employees, and it's just a
Yeah.
very weird.
Employees with like
They don't.
outfits, like uniforms and stuff.
That's one of the things I felt like they actually could have explained a little bit more.
Yeah.
Was what the hell's happening here? What is this
Right.
business, this racket he's pulling? Because it did seem like previously that he was sort of, stuck in the model, and that like he was sort of working from there when needed, sort of like a genie
Right.
in a lamp, as opposed to just this guy who had a whole business who doesn't really need the Dietzes to be involved in any of his
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, right. In the first one, it seemed like every opportunity he gets to do something is like his only chance to escape from whatever situation he's in.
Right, like he wasn't in love with a teenager because he loved her.
Yeah.
In the first one, it was like a chance for him to be free.
Yeah.
And in this one, it's like, oh, my love, I've longed for you for so long.
Yeah. So it's a fucking weird movie, and we haven't even
It's a
gotten
very weird
into
movie.
the other entire plot of the movie, which is like there's two plots of this movie that would have made two really good Beetlejuice movies. So you could have made Beetlejuice, which is about the person who Delia's daughter, or who Lydia's daughter
Yeah,
falls in love with, whose
Astrid.
name I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, which we won't reveal too much about, but is a very interesting part of the movie
Yeah.
that they have to rush through because there's so many other things happening in this movie.
And it's a really interesting storyline that plays off of the old one in a lot of really interesting ways, and has like
Yes.
sets up all kinds of parallels and things like that. And that
Honestly, it's
could
a
have
bummer
been
that like maybe the answer here is they should have done like a mini series on Netflix or something,
Sure.
because the Lydia and Astrid mother-daughter relationship is interesting.
Yeah.
But when you have to cut from that to silly Beetlejuice dealing with Bob in the afterlife, it does kind of lighten the tension in a way that doesn't necessarily serve either side of that very well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the sequel, yes, a sequel where it's just focused on that storyline, and maybe that's where Justin Theroux's character is too, or something, or maybe not. But yeah, which is kind of like a parallel to the old Beetlejuice. And then the third one, you can have a little fun, get Monica Bellucci in there, stapling herself together. We learn more about Beetlejuice's past, and maybe at that point, it's like he is kind of their friend or something. Like build it up a little bit more.
Right.
But it was fun to like. It sounds like I'm complaining about it, but the whole time I was like, nah, this is way better than I was expecting it to be, actually.
That's the thing, is like I gave it like a B-, I think,
Mhm.
because it's not. I didn't regret going to see it
Right.
at all. It was a fun time.
Tim
I'm a big
Burton's
fan of
made
Beetlejuice.
much worse movies than that, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do like a lot of what they did visually in it. There's a lot of
Yeah.
very interesting choices stylistically, like the flashbacks, or the other animation styles
Yeah,
that are introduced.
They do some fun stuff in it for sure.
So they definitely, swung for the fences. But I do think there's points at which I feel them pulling back and playing it safe,
Yeah.
where I feel like that's the moments where it feels like, oh, you're thinking about the public context of what a Beetlejuice movie is, as
Right.
opposed to just making a Beetlejuice movie.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's Beetlejuice. I would say go see it. At this
Yeah, we're
point, it's
seeing it.
probably already available to stream.
Yeah. When we went to the movie, we were sitting next to a man who was dressed like Beetlejuice with full makeup and hair.
What?
Not only that, Matthew, he was also acting like Beetlejuice and doing the voice, and
I hate
was
that so much.
actually kind of amazing, because every
Did you do
time
it during the movie?
yeah, every time he'd laugh, he didn't talk during the movie, but every time he'd laugh, he would go like and it was fine. And like he was like making little comments during the trailers and stuff, and it was just like sometimes they were just like, oh, I want to see that, but he'd be like, yeah, I want to see that. And he was there with a woman dressed like Lydia in her red. It was
Wow.
actually fine. Like he was I was like, when we were walking up, I was like, I'm not sitting next to this guy. So I was slowed down so Rachel was sitting next to him instead. But then it was funny. He also burped really loud a couple times. So it was great.
Wow. What a
So go
bold
see it,
choice.
but only if you know that you're going to sit next to somebody cosplaying as Beetlejuice.
Well, before we get out of here, we need to let you know what we're watching next time. And we've kind of already spoiled it. But next time will be our final episode discussing Fraggle Rock, as we watch the very last episode called Change of Address, and the rap party video Fraggles Look for Jobs, and the behind-the-scenes documentary Down at Fraggle Rock. But we need to also thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to Kermitment.com for all your Kermitment needs. And don't forget to rate and review us, much like Fair Tika did from their home in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it from anywhere. It's that easy. Just go to Apple Podcasts and say, hey, this podcast is the best podcast I've ever heard.
Yeah,
or
but
accidentally stumbled upon.
Be more specific if you have an interesting story behind it.
You can also contact us to explain how you found this podcast at mail@kermitment.com, or you can follow the podcast everywhere on social media at KermitmentPod. And you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.